computer. Okay, all right, I'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tony Carcamo, President of Civil CAD Learning Solutions and also President of the DFW BIM Infrastructure User Group. And welcome to another session of Expert Elite World. Today's guest, we have Mark. Mark, if you want to introduce yourself and to our session.
My name is Mark Behrens. I'm working out of Plymouth, Michigan. I've been working with AutoCAD, which is your most basic, but it's been fun doing it for approximately 38 years. Started with version 1.9 and currently using electrical. I've seen a lot of changes and I've had to make it do a whole lot of things and jump through a few hoops that I didn't know would work, but I found some fun things to do with it.
1.9. So what year was that? If people are probably asking, when was that?
I started working on it in 1980.
1980. Oh, wow.
Yes, I started going to school in 1980 and I was working on it. And I hired in a company as a student that knew more than the people in the company knew how to do it.
So what could you do with the 1.9? What were some of the commands or features that it could do in that kind of version, if you remember?
Everything was command line and you typed it.
All typed in a DOS or?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
That was nasty. And the first software that I actually learned on, which was parallel with AutoCAD, you had a touch screen, a light pen on a touch screen monitor. Yeah, that goes back a day.
So what kind of computers were you using then? Do you remember for these?
No, that was 40 years ago.
40 years. I mean, my very first computer was like a Tandy computer, and it was all.
Let's put it this way, the monitor was 24 inches across.
Yeah. And
you could count the dots in the line across the screen, but the resolution was that poor.
Do you have a floppy pulled up?
Yeah, it had floppy drives, and it was done everything was done in such a way that you had to type a command, wait, let it process, type a command, wait, let it go.
Man, did you during your time have a chance to also play with a digitizer?
Yeah, and they were good when they worked.
When they were.
The issues with the digitizers were back in the earlier versions of the software. I don't know if you ever used one, but they were keyed to the software. And part of the fun I had was when I was in school, the teacher basically never left his office for various reasons, and people caught on to the fact that I had half a clue. And then they'd say, well, oh, okay, this is how you do that, great. And I'd walk away and I'd come back and they'd say, my digitizers failed. Well, why? Well, community college, okay, used equipment, you don't have brand new. Oh, well, people didn't understand. You pull a digitizer from this set of software, you bring it in here, it didn't work. Autodesk caught on to that pretty quick and fixed that. But digitizers, they were nice. I had no issues with them. The only trouble is that the tablet got to be very big. And unfortunately, I've had carpal tunnel before. And at this point, I use a trackball because of that instead of a mouse.
Okay. I actually have two different trackball mouses here. One's kind of in the middle for universal left or right hand. Another one for your thumb trackball.
Yes, that's what I use. I use a thumb-based one.
Yep.
And it's nice because you set it up. You've got programmable buttons and such.
Yep.
But tablets were nice. They were a novelty.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I like it much better now that you've taken that tablet functionality and put it into menus that I can pull down and actually do something.
Yeah.
And not have to try to remember where it was on a tablet that's 2 foot square.
Yeah. So what current version of AutoCAD are you using right now? I guess what software are you using?
Right now we're on 19 electrical. We're updating the 2022 electrical.
Okay.
And we have not yet invested in the vault.
Okay.
So right now we are looking at ways to convince IT that the vault is the best way to go, because my
Mhm.
understanding is that if I go to vault
Mhm.
after software installation,
Yeah.
it's a lot more work and a lot of issues. You
Mhm.
need your server set up first, and getting through that first cinder block wall is going to be the killer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've only tested Vault once. That was 2008, 9, and it was very buggy, and it left a very bad taste in my mouth. It never went back. And I think it left a really bad taste for a lot of people went back to try to use it in 08 and 09. And I only know a few companies that use it. But I know there's been a lot of improvements to the software. So I don't know what it's like now. I know, that it's changed a lot since then.
Well,
But people have been asking me, hey, have you tried Vault now? And so I've been meaning to try it and test it out.
well, as we're using something called SVN for revision management,
Mhm.
and if I tell you it's free, there's a good reason for it. Well, the mechanical group uses a competing software,
Mhm.
and their vault creates problems with our storage of files.
Yeah.
So we're putting together a good case for management to say
Yeah.
apples don't work for both sides. You need apples and oranges.
Yeah.
An ongoing challenge. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So what's some of your duties at your job? What's some of your responsibilities and duties at your job?
Well, I primarily do control panel design and layout,
Mhm.
uh, enclosure layouts
Mhm.
for special machines, AGV
Okay.
design, uh, CAD management as necessary,
Okay.
working on all the CAD standard componentry, and just assisting as people have questions and need help.
Yep. Yep. Okay. When did you join the Expert Elite? You recall when you
It's 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Okay.
The first time I applied, and it really surprised me that they actually let me in,
Yeah.
because I've read stories about where people needed, 35 dozen endorsements and all kinds of other things. And luckily, do you know Bjorn? Have you heard
Bjorn?
of
I,
Bjorn?
I don't think so, unless I saw his face or something. Yeah.
Well, he was working for Autodesk up till about a year and a
Uh-huh.
half ago, and he ran the student group, and he was a very big help. And because I've been part of the student activity group for the last 10 years,
Mhm.
and between him and a lot of my other experience, they let me in, which I was truly surprised. Like I said, I didn't think they would let me in.
Yeah. Yeah. This to me, what I see is kind of two groups. You got the groups are very technical and specialists in the software, and then you got some groups that are power users, but they're very big on promoting the product and a lot of resources and networking and social media. Love teaching about the product. Kind of see two different groups within the Expert Elite group. It's kind of what I'm seeing. You kind of got like the evangelist versus the technical specialist, in the products.
So
So
the funny thing is that I'm not a social butterfly.
yeah,
I wouldn't consider myself the social,
yeah,
but I find I'm getting more and more into that.
yeah,
My technical knowledge of AutoCAD has been somebody walking up and saying, "Can you do this?" And then having to do it.
yeah,
Okay, well, what's the name of that command? I don't remember. I have to look it up, but
yeah.
give me the challenge and I'll do it.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and I love those challenges. I all the time when somebody asks me something, and sometimes it will bug me to death. I'm like, I got to figure out the answer. I got to figure out how to solve it or find a workaround for that situation. So,
Well, that's the funny thing with electrical. And those who are not familiar with it will say, "Oh, it's for drawing schematics and it's for this." And you'd be amazed at how much people don't realize that AutoCAD electrical will do.
yeah,
I mean, thinking outside the box is something that I don't see a lot of. And I can use the same tools for any particular drawing file.
Mhm.
And I've shown that to people, and they just look at me and say, "Well, I didn't know I would do that." All you're doing is managing data and attributes and files, and Yeah, but it's electric. Well, yeah, that's the box it's in. Open the
Mhm.
box, take a look. You will
Yeah.
find some amazing features.
Yeah. So how did you, I guess, train to learn the software? Did you take classes or were you kind of self-taught?
I took a class in community college
Mhm.
back in 1980. Started out as a hit, as may have alluded to, the teacher never left his class. And I started in the class. I was finished with my class assignments 2 months into the
Yeah.
4 month session. That was it. I just
Okay.
kept taking them for about 6 years at night.
Yeah.
Then I got into the more advanced stuff.
Mhm.
Then I took some classes at a specialized place up here in Michigan,
Mhm.
about a 3-day class. And the rest of it is learned because I had to.
You had to. Yeah.
And it works. I mean,
Yeah.
I buy the book and I won't claim to know everything, but I know where it is in the book.
Yeah. 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 I told others I only took one like Civil 3D class back when it came out, 2004 or five. And then in the U.S. Air Force, they made us take 3 AutoCAD classes. Even though they gave us AutoCAD classes, made us take
Really?
advanced AutoCAD classes at a local community college at Gulf Coast Community College in Panama City. So during the evenings, we had to go take these, or like in the afternoon, not evenings, about 4 o'clock, we go to the community college and take these classes. Now, 3 of them were AutoCAD 1, 2, and 3 advanced classes, but then there was a survey class. It was a more of an advanced survey class with a lot of more military members in the class from different branches. I saw some Army guys in there too. And so, yeah, it was kind of mandatory for us, kind of an advanced training. So, and you didn't even test in. It just called the college at the time, not because and you filled out one form and you go to class. You didn't go take an exam to get into the college. So,
Now, so the thing I missed today,
mhm.
and you can say I'm old school, but I have people that I sit down and try to show something,
Mhm.
and they're working on a layout and they're zoomed into the bottom corner of a drawing
Mhm.
and they're drawing things, and all of a sudden it's off the sheet.
Mhm.
You need the one thing that I see that should be done first is a manual CAD class.
Mhm.
You need basic, because I went through all the descriptive geometry, all the we did jig and fixture. We had a lot of classes,
Yeah.
but the thing is, it taught you perspective.
Yeah.
You open up, you look at your whole sheet. You only erased an entire drawing one time,
Yeah.
and you never got a second sheet of paper to work from.
Yeah.
So you worked on it right. But today I don't see that. I see,
Yeah.
oh, I can erase it and start over. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And now what? Why didn't you look at the overall and say, I'm going to have, there's no planning and there's no future expansion left
Yeah.
in what people do. And I see that as a weakness today. I think there should
Yeah.
be a standard CAD class. Yes, but there should be a standard. Here's a piece of paper. Here's a triangle. Here's a straight edge.
Yeah.
Draw me 3 views of a box. Give me an ISO and show me how it looks.
Yeah. 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 They don't have anything like that. You were talking about starting over on design. And I just had a flashback with the undo command where you could set markers. People don't forget about them. I don't know if you remember the markers.
Oh,
So when
yeah.
you design, hit the markers, people don't realize that you can go back to a certain point of your design with a marker. And I was teaching that to somebody a long time ago about that. And they go, what? You can go back to a certain point. Like, yeah, besides going from the pull down list and look for the command, you can go to undo to a certain marker that you saved. So,
Yeah. It's just I think the issue is there's not enough pressure put on people to expand what they're doing with the software,
yeah,
look into the capabilities. There's a
yeah,
lot of capabilities that are left untouched.
yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. Um, so where do you think, you're working on, AutoCAD right now, but where do you think AutoCAD and these design software is going to be in 10 years?
Well, what I'm seeing is the fact that we're going to be able to take AutoCAD 2D, take that data, bring it into 3D, and just basically get myself a model from it. And that'll be able to eventually go into virtual reality and into more detailed 3D. I mean, by 3D, I mean, if I'm drawing up a box in 2D, I can take those data points, make a base model of it, bring it out into virtual reality, show somebody, here's what your overall is going to look like. And then go back in and fine tune that solid and leave my 2D sketch, for lack of a better word, as it was. And then reverse out from my solid model in Inventor or Fusion or whatever, more detailed drawings. So therefore, I've got a complete circle with just a basic sketch. I see that happening.
Do you think, just a crazy idea that Revit might possibly replace AutoCAD and incorporate some of the simple tasks and commands into Revit? Revit would just take over AutoCAD?
Very possibly. I'm one of very few people that I talk to that does not use Revit on a regular basis. There's a lot of very good capabilities there. However, there's always going to be the old school AutoCAD people, which, there's always that market for, well, I just want to be able to sketch and produce and do drawings. You need a basic full function 100%. Here it is. This box does it. If you want to do everything like we were talking about, expanding in all the other extended realities, that's a whole, the bigger product. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to say, why don't we just stick to the bigger one? Well, I'm running business. I don't have the capital to invest in a higher level software, and I don't need it. It's not a good business choice.
A good example is I know a lot of custom home architect builders companies. They don't use Revit, use straight up AutoCAD. They have a good system, they have a good template. They don't, they deal with small contractors that build the homes. And then they just tell them, like, I don't need Revit for what I'm doing, especially for architectural plan, floor plan. I have a good system, I have a good template. It's not broken. I said, I can see some of the benefits, but it doesn't benefit me that much for what I do.
There's exactly where I think AutoCAD's going to be here for a long time, because I see a lot of people that I talk to, well, we just use light. And if you don't need more than that, why would you bother investing in anything else? It's the beauty too, having Autodesk software vary from here's your core application to a full-blown, we can do a 3D model out of your napkin sketch. Two different packages, two different functions. You've got to be able to keep your marketplace drives what you're really going to have.
So if you had more free time in a day, what other software would you want to learn? What really interests you? And it doesn't have to be Autodesk. It could be Autodesk, it could be another software. What would you want to learn?
Well, right now, I'm still stuck with 2D. I'd like to get very heavy into learning Inventor. And I say that because I find 3D very intriguing. I've done quote unquote 3D AutoCAD drawings, 2.5D as they were called. I did that for a college project. I did an automated SCR pack for a power circuit. I automated the assembly and disassembly. I'd like to be able to expand that. But again, the time is not, I work 10, 11 hours a day. And, with all the other hassles going on, you just don't get it now. The thing that I'd really like to do is to be able to get into programming of Lisp routines and supportive software. Because I'd like to be able to, for example, AutoCAD electrical, you can do much like with any other software, and multiple insert components. Well, there's a certain multiple insert component which I can't do because each instance must have an individual unique data point.
Yeah.
If I could come up with a software input from an additional application,
Yeah.
I could make it do that for me.
Yeah.
Instead of having to, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't like my hands being tied with no solutions.
Yeah.
Learning Lisp and learning basic programming would allow me to expand a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'd be fun if you could do a little coding, start creating your own commands and icons where you think it'd benefit you more efficiently to get your task done. So when you're using a product, are you more of a icon or a pull down menu or command user, or all three?
Well, I, for one, I like to have frequently accessed applications. I bring those icons into a basic work area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like having to go up and pull down from a menu from an icon off of a ribbon,
mm-hmm.
i.e. schematics, into home, into other data. I find it's more of a time waster.
Yeah.
I've got 4 or 5 toolbars that I keep constant in my workspace, and I've got 3 work tabs in there for commonly used applications that are buried 5 tabs deep for just that reason.
Yeah.
I can save hours by not having to dip down through all kinds of menus.
Yeah.
And no, I do not like to type on the command line.
I've known some users that, man, they were very good. I knew one guy, I mean, it sounded like he was typing a notebook, or a letter or a novel. I could hear just clicking away. He knew all the commands, even the long ones when you're dealing with corridors and surfaces. Like, man, that's like,
and
that's
then
impressive. But if he feels comfortable with it and that's what he likes, then that's what he likes and chooses, that if he feels he's efficient that way. I don't try to change him, I'll show them sometimes as a CAD manager, hey, even though in our software you can do it 3 or 4 different ways, I'll show them that, hey, you can do it with this, 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 and this, or you can modify it with this. But if you're a command person, here's the command, and you choose which way you feel comfortable with,
I say, if you're a fast typist, number
if you're
one,
a fast typist,
or you don't mind jumping from the keyboard to the mouse.
Yeah.
My issue was the timing to have to keep jumping back and forth to the keyboard.
Yeah.
And when I went to high school, let me ask you, did you go to a private high school or a public high school?
I went to a public I was out in East Texas country.
Okay. Well, I went to a Catholic high school because
Mm-hmm.
my mom and dad had a better plan. Well, funny story. There was a priest who was teaching this class, walking around with a 12-inch ruler like your grandmother would have, with a steel edge in it and everything. Walked around slamming the steel edge against the desks.
Yeah.
And I took typing with electric typewriters.
Oh, okay.
And he said, I do not want to hear that ding, ding, ding from your typewriter unless you've typed all the way across. And if I keep hearing it, I will smack your knuckles.
That's old school right there.
And at that point I said, wow, you just gave me a challenge. And I got a C in the class only because I pushed hard to get that. I never took typing and I never learned it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, if you just want to say that you don't like this but to walk around slamming a ruler on the table, you just gave me a challenge, buddy. Guess what? And it's like, you can be what you want to be, but be careful what you get in return.
That's funny. That's a funny story. Do you have any tips you'd like to share about, using AutoCAD Electrical, that, for users that use AutoCAD Electrical, any kind of good tips? Or I don't know if you have your laptop in front of you, if you want to share your screen or not, but.
Actually, I haven't got my Mac in front of me, which doesn't.
Oh, your Mac, yeah.
But the thing that I would suggest to people, and I see it everywhere.
Mhm.
If I'm working in electrical,
Mhm.
and you don't think what you're doing is adaptable to other areas,
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
The application has got some very good file management, data management,
Yeah.
and organizational features. And people just do not think, well, I need to be outside of this. No, you can be working in anything.
Yeah.
You can be working in any type of a drawing. You can be working in any extension of AutoCAD, be it architectural, be it mechanical, because I've worked in all of them.
Yeah.
And I have found that I can take AutoCAD electrical tool set and expand it to 10 other different types of AutoCAD.
Yeah.
So just because it's got this label, don't follow it. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't assume you can't do this till you've tried it. And 9 out of 10 times I've surprised myself, but I'll show people that and they just look at me like, well, it doesn't say it'll do that. Yeah, you haven't had to do that and then had somebody say, all you've got is this.
Yeah.
Never be afraid to experiment. That's what I would tell people. Don't, because it's called an apple, don't tell me that you can't use it for something else.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good tip. That's a good tip. That's a good tip. One of the tips I shared recently on my online user group was about if you ever had to split a project into phasing and you don't want to spend the time having to go back, change the colors and layers and separate stuff, you create a kind of a transparent hatch over your phase of a project. So you create just a rectangle, whatever shape, so that represent, okay, this is going to be part of phase one. You create this rectangle, you hatch it, and you put it in color 255, if I remember right.
Yep,
And then you
to a
put a
wipeout.
transparency over it. And when you print it, it actually screens everything back of what you put that hatch over.
Yeah, and I see that AutoCAD's got what they call wipeout.
Yeah.
Which I believe it's every other AutoCAD feature does too.
Yeah.
We will very often do that in areas that we don't want people to be able to lay things out in a back panel.
Yeah.
And they're not any wiser that that area is available because they can't put anything there. But, and I always have that, bring that to the front of the drawing set for the layer levels.
Yep.
And they can't touch it.
Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of neat things that you can do. For example, when we work with a page layout and I have option A and option B, option A is always standard. I will put option B information on layered depth points.
Yeah.
And using depth points, it does not print.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, therein lies a really good tip for people who, I don't care what software you're using, depth points is depth points. Yeah. It's in every AutoCAD. You want to put cartoons, notes, nasty messages to your friends.
Yeah.
Put it on depth points.
Yeah.
Okay. If they open the drawing up, they see it.
Yeah.
The plot, it will never show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've used it a lot for reference notes, construction references, details on the best way to do things.
Yep.
And you can turn it on or off as you want to see it, but as a default, it does not print.
Yep.
So
I use it for notes for myself when I'm designing. That way, if somebody else gets in there, they can see the note that's pointing to a structure or an object or something. Hey, such and such, this is why I did this. And I always tell people when I'm doing training is that usually you should be creating another layer that says no plot. It's just a layer, it's just no plot. I say when you can use depth points, that's what the purpose is for, is to make notes but doesn't print.
It's amazing the number of people that will put notes into their drawings and and they want to do this on 10 different sheets and 10 different reasons. And then they go to print them. Well, I forgot to delete them. Well, okay, put them on a layer that's just not going to print.
Yeah.
Then you never have to delete them. And you remember next
Yeah.
year when you start the job up again.
Yeah.
That's why I put it there.
Yeah. 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 I also tell people, hey, you should take advantage of the layer manager, layer states manager. That way you can use that. If somebody comes in and turn all the layers on, you can come back and they actually hit save. You can come back and set it back to the way it's supposed to be on your plans. So highly take advantage of the layer state manager. So
yeah, that's another, brings up another really good tip to bring to people's point of working in AutoCAD. If you have a set of 10 different layers that you always want to use in your drawings, and people have a bad habit of going through and purging them because there's nothing on those layers, then being lost, then then you get a new name for it. It's not BOM1, it's BOM_1 or -1, or create yourself a small block. I've done this for electrical, for wires. I've got 35 wire types.
Yeah.
Create a block with a line on every unique layer that you need.
Yeah.
Save it as a block in your title block in the corner of your drawing. And what I do is I have that in there and I have a note. Delete this block when completing editing. Yeah. And then you can purge the unused ones, but you don't have to go back through and reload everything in. Or, I must have misspelled that layer. That's why it doesn't meet our specs, and that's why it's not up to standard.
Yeah.
It works very well.
Yeah, it does. It does. Funny story. You have a funny story learning the product, teaching the product, story you want to kind of share to attendees. I know everybody's got a funny story using the product.
Actually, it's a trick we used to pull on newbies that when I first started training people. Yeah. I mean, back when I was in school, people would start laying out their drawings and people were told, save your drawings. The system's not reliable and da-da-da-da. Okay, whatever reason. Yeah. I'd see them, they'd walk away. Well, you've got a drawing that's at full size, 2 foot square. What happens if I scale that down to 6 inches square and do a zoom extents and I don't tell you? Now you're drawing something you think is full scale and it's way outside of what you've got. Yeah. It works, believe me. I've taken it works especially well when you're trying to do something on a die or a punch, and you want to bring in a detail or a particular feature. Well, that feature's now off the edge of the die because you had it drawn, and I scaled it down by 10. And it's like, well, what happened? Oh, then you explain to them, okay, here's what. They finally catch on, but it's just funny to watch these people. They panic. I mean, and like you said, I'll sit back. I'm 15 feet away from these guys, and you'll hear them getting upset. Yeah. Then they're getting frustrated. Then they start swearing at the machine. Then they come over and say, "What happened? What happened?" It's just funny to watch. I mean,
I think in the military, I had another airman where we would just play pranks on each other. And one time I went there and changed her command alias, changed a bunch of commands. So say would be like, delete and stuff like that. Just change a whole bunch of common commands, offset, trim. I changed them all up on their computer. So
you know what's even worse? Go in and misspell them. Misspell the command versus what AutoCAD says it should be.
What it should be.
Yeah. Instead of being zoom, it's ZOON. Okay. Watch people's reaction. Priceless.
Priceless.
It's a little thing, and I shouldn't get humor and satisfaction out of this, but it's just, I don't know. You see it happen and yeah. Then these people learn it. And it's amazing. It happens all the time throughout the whole. Oh, yeah. Gotta have some fun with it.
Yeah, that's fun. I had at one time a technician, I think it was my first engineering company after the Air Force, and we were doing a signage plan. And he goes, yeah. And we're putting a sign for us as the fire truck crossing. And he goes, yeah, you should really zoom into that sign. And what are you talking about? So I started zooming in closer and closer. We're talking about like just decimal points, and you can see a guy inside the fire truck, and he's waving. He's got his hand up, and he's waving at the truck. And so, oops, sorry. And I thought it was pretty funny. He goes, "You think I should change it up?" And flicking somebody off, like, "Don't do that, dude. Don't go that far." But it was pretty funny. He went in there, and you could never, even if you print it, you couldn't see it because it was a dot. It was so small.
That's it. Yeah.
So
We've done that too. It's just,
or they put a Batman symbol on the vehicle, but you couldn't see it because when it prints, it's too small. So there's a Batman symbol on the vehicle. So I've seen.
yeah, that's half the fun of having
Yeah.
40 years in on this stuff.
Yeah.
That I still can do that to newbies.
Yeah.
I've still gone in the last couple of new people we've had and scaled their entire panel down 25%, watched them freak and went, whoa, why is it so? Oh, I don't know.
Or changing units.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Or from feet to architectural or something. So.
Oh yeah. Well, if you really want to mess with them,
yeah,
you change the layer they're drawing on, and turn the layer off, or freeze it, and then they'll come back and say, "Well, you can't draw on a frozen layer."
Yeah.
Well, I don't have it frozen. Or you have part of something someone's drawn, and you move it to layer and you freeze it so it doesn't show. The whole block won't show.
Yeah.
And they'll put 15 iterations of this block in there. Did you check your layers? And they're all over the page because that's what they're putting them.
I think some of the parts I like that I enjoyed being a CAD manager is problem solving, trying to problem solve situations. I took a class when I was taking classes through SMU sister branch in San Antonio. It was a MCSE course for Microsoft Certified System Engineer, I think what it was. And one of the classes, and one day you have to go in there and it's like problem solving. The instructor will go in there, either mess up your computer hardware or mess up Windows where it wouldn't even boot up. And that was actually fun. You come in, you sit down, you're trying to figure out why it doesn't boot up. So first you got to do the problem solving, first step one, check the power, check all the components, and then you boot it up, it doesn't work. You get the floppy boot up disk. And that was fun. I think that's why I kind of moved into CAD management. Is like, I love that problem solving. And I think it really was fun. You're trying to figure out what did they do
it's the challenge.
Screw it up.
Is anything that's straight up and easy, and the thing is that it gave you the mindset to say, okay, I can figure this one out.
Yeah. Because
I've found where half the time things will piss me off to the point where I want the answer.
Oh,
it's not for, you get the grade, but okay, I want to know why it won't work.
Yeah.
And then you look it up.
Yep.
And then you get all your answers.
I love the ones that there's not an answer to it. It's not like, hey, Autodesk knows it's a problem. There's no answer for it. And so then I'll try to spend time to find a workaround. How do I make it work temporarily? Mm-hmm. A bug comes, the service pack or hotfix comes out, it'll fix it. And that's what I like, those challenges like, hey, you can't find it even if you Google it. You just have to know a workaround for it. And that's kind of the things I like.
There's that same issue with the stuff that I do. Okay. If I, for one, want to put 15 wire numbers coming off of a branch.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that. They're all in. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
There's ways to do it, but Autodesk will not. Autodesk does not necessarily, shall I say, advise doing it, but I found ways to do it, and it's functional and it works.
Yeah.
And just like the block manager for standard AutoCAD, you can open it up in electrical.
Mhm.
And I've been trying to find a good way to organize all my standard component blocks. And I'd had issues with that.
Yeah.
And hey, why not try the standard block management? Well, you can use for doors, windows, cars, whatever. And I was talking to somebody at one of my classes one day, and I use a standard block manager. Well, we can't condone that. We can't say that's going to work every single time. And it does. And like, okay. So I think a lot of what we find it does work.
Yeah.
They know will work, but there's always going to be the what if, so they can't say it does.
And I think they don't want that risk too. If it didn't work at one point, and then you come back at Autodesk, like, hey, you said it would work.
Yeah, see, that's for me. Because I was flat out told, well, you can't do what you want to do with that. And I showed them, they said, okay, it's working this time, but in 1 or 2 or 3 cases out of it, we can. So I just gave up on what they endorse and say that you can use. So I'll find a way. I make it work, and I'm done.
I never go really in the forums, because you'll get 10 different answers sometimes, so I don't get on the forums that much anymore. And sometimes the conversation will take a different path. So
the thing too with forums, it's just like anything else with meetings that you have. You're trying to get to a certain end goal. Not everybody's on board with the same end goal, and not everybody wants to get there the same way. I wrote.
Exactly. And I actually found a website where there's just thousands of list routines that people created, just put it up on some blog website, and people still use them to this day, even though those, like you just mentioned, those features are now incorporated into the product, most of them. So, there's third-party apps out there on the Autodesk App Store.
Yes, the App Store would be more reliable to me, because I've seen stuff that would work back in, 15 years ago in the software, that if I try to bring in today, the software doesn't recognize the command. I had one command for project manager. They changed the command name in 2018. When you do a reinstall of software, it just stops. So you can't use the list that you wrote. So I don't like using external software that's based on version A, because I don't know how it's going to respond.
You definitely don't want to also corrupt the software if it hasn't been really tested by Autodesk.
That and the fact that the IT guy will be all over you for having to repair. They don't trust me as it is. So
I've definitely been there. So are you part of any kind of local communities or organizations?
I am not. We do not have a local user group here in Michigan.
Oh, it doesn't have to be about Autodesk or software related, just anything in the community, charities,
actually,
Boy Scouts for kids or something.
I'm a member of the local conservation club.
Okay.
Which actually, as it turns out, is also a shooting club, which is the conservation club name can be misleading to some, but I have been a member there for 10 years. And one of the big things is that they've got probably 60 acres worth of woods. And the wife and I are very active there. We go out every week and feed the wildlife, and I work out there volunteering part-time, doing maintenance on the grounds, and I enjoy getting out and being involved in real life, not just staring at a computer screen.
It seems like majority of our expert elites are all part of some kind of local community organizations, charity groups, which is good to be involved in something in there. So Um,
That's one of the big things that I've found is through some of these social sites like Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm very active with supporting other groups that I can't help you physically, and I can't. Animal rescue is a very big, strong point for me.
Yeah.
I can't bring another animal into our house because of the cat we've got. To me, to some people may say that's not a big deal, but I can send you something to help you where you are to help other animals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that in itself may not sound like a charitable thing.
Yeah.
But if you live somewhere where that charity helps, that's things that you can get from them. You don't need to buy.
Yeah.
Which frees up something you got that you can actually put towards your own use.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see that. I mean,
there was a very special group, where my last office was, where they had this organization and went across America. And the group was focusing on going to high schools and creating a kind of elective program where they teach kids how to fish, bow, do outdoor activities. Like, dude, that's awesome. Especially in major big cities, they don't get to do any of that stuff. Out in the country, I mean, all the high school kids go hunting after and before class, or fishing or something. But city kids don't do that. So they had this program that would go around to all these big schools and have this elective program for these kids to learn how to go fishing. Take them to the lakes, go fishing, bow, all kinds of outdoor activities. I thought it was a pretty cool organization to do that. And it was getting really popular for the major cities.
That's one of the nice things about the Conservation Club. We have 4 or 5 times a year, I believe. Mm-hmm. We let the Boy Scouts come out, and I'm a DRSO out there, which basically we go out and we just kind of watch, but we step back and let the Boy Scouts and their group learn how to shoot, learn how to work with the archery, and you'd be amazed at just how much the impact of that goes. I mean, you'll see 20 people the first time that for a year, 30 the next, 35 so forth. And then you talk to them, oh yeah, well this was so, but again, okay, if you go, I don't know where you live, how much land you've got, but okay, I can't set up an archery range in my backyard. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
People are going to get uptight. And just for the opportunity for that sort of thing to get put in somebody's mind and say, it's there.
Yeah. See, I grew up, my parents owned 110 acres. We had 3 fishing ponds. So every weekend I was out fishing, just out in our pasture. And we had big hiking areas. We can go hiking in deep in the woods with creeks and stuff with my 2 dogs. So I grew up doing that all my childhood. A lot of playground player. You live out in the country, you're kind of an independent child. I was the only child, so I was very independent, going out roaming around the woods by myself. So my 2 dogs and fishing, and we had all kinds of animals and road runners and quails and deers and coyotes and wolves out there.
So. Yeah, because back I originally grew up in Pennsylvania, and my dad came out here to Michigan with Ford, but since I was about 8 years old, my dad and I had been members of the Conservation Club back there. Mm-hmm. And we'd go every other weekend, get up, go fishing, come home, and didn't matter what you caught. I mean, you're 8 years old, you're 10 years old, you're out with dad.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing with that place. It's like you could go out there and you had all kinds of fun. Yeah. It's amazing just what that instills in somebody.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for joining us on our video podcast. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, how would they do that? Are you on any kind of social media or LinkedIn?
I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I'm also in the Student Advocates group.
So what's your Twitter account? Do you remember? If not, I'll post it here at the bottom. Once you say,
I'm not. I think it's Cadman _99 or Cadman 99. One of the two.
Hey, I'll have it posted here on the video. So,
Okay, I do not remember it immediately off the top of my head,
okay.
but yeah, feel free if anybody, if somebody wants to just get a hold of me for a simple question or just to tell me, yeah, you're funny looking, I don't care. Contact me, that's fine. Same.
We'll post it right here at the bottom of our video. That way they
Okay,
can reach
cool.
out to you, follow you, and if they have questions about AutoCAD electrical, want
Or
to pick your
anything.
brain, or want to get
Twitter.
together as a group. Yeah.
Yeah, Twitter or LinkedIn, either one. I'm part of both, and I'm also active in the forums and on all the other Autodesk supported softwares.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And I appreciate your time. And I will be back for a second round. And the second round for all our expert leads is where we're going to get more in-depth topics when we're talking about training, CAD management, and the software. So
that's a whole issue that I could go into. And
yeah,
I look forward to discussing that one in a little more detail with the realities that I've dealt with based upon having had the 0 to the 40-year experience, having to meld all that and make it work.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right, sir, I thank you for the time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And have a good day.
You too. Thank you, sir.